All right, so I'm Carissa. I'm a partner at Paradigm. My background is in psychology, so that's where I'm coming at this work from. I got my PhD in 2013 from Stanford, where I worked with Professor Carol Dweck and studied growth versus fixed mindsets. What I'm generally really passionate about is conducting research in applied settings or applying the lessons of research. So before I came to Paradigm, while I was a grad student at Stanford, I co-founded an organization called PERTS to apply research on mindsets in education. And now I'm really excited to be working on the Paradigm team, applying research, both my own and a lot of the research that you all are doing, in fact, to increase the representation of women and people of color in workplaces and to create environments where everyone can be successful. One barrier that I see to that is what I'll be calling the culture of brilliance or fixed mindset culture in the tech industry. So just to give a bit of background on fixed versus growth mindset, there's been a lot of research showing that people tend to think about the nature of talents and abilities in really different ways. So some people have more of a fixed mindset. They tend to believe that abilities and talents are fixed at birth, so they think of them kind of like eye color. You either have blue eyes or you don't. You're born with certain talents and abilities and not others, and there's not really much you can do to change that. Other people have more of a growth mindset. They believe that abilities and talents can be developed, so they think of them more like a muscle. So just like when you work out at the gym, you can make your muscles stronger. When you work hard to develop your talents and abilities, you can make your brain stronger. At the individual level, there are a lot of important consequences for these mindsets. So these mindsets influence the goals that people have. People with a fixed mindset are more interested in proving themselves, while people with the growth mindset are more interested in improving. They also influence how we think about effort. In a fixed mindset, effort feels really bad. If I have to try, I must not be very smart. And it influences how people respond to challenges. People with a fixed mindset tend to give up in the face of challenges. They think they've discovered something they're not good at. But people with the growth mindset really embrace and actually like challenges because that's when they're learning the most. More recent research shows that, like individuals, organizations, and even entire fields can have mindsets. And these mindsets also have really important consequences there. So for example, recent research shows that fields whose practitioners believe that brilliance is required for success have fewer women who are earning PhDs in those fields. At the organization level, companies who portray a fixed mindset culture, for example, by saying on their website that they're interested in hiring employees who have the abilities and talents we're looking for, women are less likely to want to apply to those companies than when companies portray more of a growth mindset culture by saying that they want to help employees learn, discover, and grow. So why is this happening? It's of course not because women aren't brilliant. What's going on is that we have stereotypes about who's brilliant in our society. And those stereotypes call to mind images of white men. So in fact, in this same study, they found that the reason why women were less likely to want to apply to the fixed mindset company is because they believed they'd be more likely to be stereotyped in those companies. They thought that management at the fixed mindset company would be less likely to view them as smart, qualified, assertive, and well-spoken. So I just want to leave you with a couple of ideas about what we can actually do to foster more of a growth mindset culture in organizations. So just two strategies. One is, how do companies respond to mistakes and failures? Especially for companies who really care about innovating, it's really important that people feel comfortable kind of making mistakes. But if, in a fixed mindset culture, if mistakes mean you're stupid, you're going to be less likely to take on those challenges. And it can be especially threatening to do that if you're a member of a stereotyped group. One way to kind of fight against this, to foster more of a growth mindset culture, is to reward people for taking risks, even when those risks don't necessarily lead to the intended outcome. So for example, Google has a really interesting award called the Fabulous Flop Award to encourage people to take risks and then kind of reward them even if those don't work out. Another opportunity that companies have to foster more of a growth mindset is in when they give feedback. So feedback that focuses on the process, kind of how work gets done, versus the person, innate traits, fosters more of a growth mindset culture. So for example, instead of saying something like, you're a really good communicator, say why. So I really like that you communicate clearly with your colleagues and you have a positive attitude. That helps foster a growth mindset by helping people understand that their success is tied to their effort and strategies rather than innate ability. It's also just more useful feedback. In my own research, in a study led by Liz Gunderson, we found that parents who gave their kids process praise had kids with more of a growth mindset 5 years later. So when we change our language, that can really shape what people believe is important for success, and that can influence how people think about and approach their work. Thank you.